Hi folks, and welcome to another episode of Cliff on Climbing on Cliffs. Today we're going to talk about re-slinging old cams. There are a number of companies that provide this service. However, they don't sew slings on certain cams. If you're ancient enough, or lucky enough to own one of these cams, fret not. You can add a sling without having to sew one on with an industrial bar tack machine. I have a few of these same cams from different generations. Notice my old style Camelots. This is the original dual-stemmed No. 4 Chenard Camelot with an exposed U-loop at the end. The new No. 4 Camelot from Chenard's successor company, Black Diamond, comes with a single stem and a sewn runner pre-sewn through it. If the sewn runner on this newer cam were to get cut, I can send the unit into a company and they'll sew another on for me. Earlier generation Black Diamond Camelots were similar to the Chenard models with dual stems and U-loops, but they were reinforced with plastic on some of the smaller cam units. Again, I have a mix of older and newer units, and I would like them to be consistently equipped with some sort of runner. So what if I want a runner on one of my old Camelots? If I send it in, will they sew a sling on for me?
No!
That leaves me stuck with the self-help department. So what to do? To recap, newer cams often come pre-slung from the factory. Older cams with U-loops did not, and re-slinging services will not retrofit them with slings if they are not originally slung by the manufacturer. You can use accessory cord, that's Perlon, Spectra, Gemini, whatever the in cordage is that folks are using these days. Or you can tie a nylon runner in lieu of a sewn runner, or you can use a pre-sewn runner that comes from the factory, bar tacked and sewn. Let me begin by showing you how to tie your accessory cord or webbing through a cam and do it yourself. Now, you can tie the slinger cord in a single loop. Alternatively, you can tie it as an extendable runner by wrapping it through the U-loop twice. If using cord, tie the ends with a grapevine or a double fisherman's knot. When you're using a sling, tie it off with a water knot. Okay, say you are dead set on using a pre-sewn runner. Poor choice of words. You can use a girth hitch or a basket hitch to attach the sling. I would recommend you check out the video by How Not To here. It compares the relative strength of self-slung cams. Their braking tests show that the basket hitch is stronger than the girth hitch when using pre-sewn runners. Now, while the basket hitch is stronger, it poses certain pitfalls. First, you must clip both loops coming from the cam. Otherwise, it'll come right off. If this happens when you fall on the cam, you will not get the result you want, which is to continue counting yourself among the living. When handling the piece, getting it off your rack, setting or cleaning it, you must be very careful to account for both loops, which is tricky, and left to their own devices, they like to drift apart. It's best to keep them controlled somehow, somewhere around the midsection, somewhere between the cam loop and the clipping loops. So you want to control this middle section to keep these loops together to make it easier for them to clip. Capturing the basket hitch around the waist, capturing them here at the waist can help prevent accidents like this. Now that we have that basket hitch in place, let's go ahead and tame it so it doesn't split apart when it's on our rack. When you use a basket hitch, the length of the finished basket hitch will be a little less than half of the length of the actual runner that you're starting with. So if you have a 10-inch runner, it will be roughly 4.5 to 5 inches when it's folded over through the U-loop and attached to your cam. Buy heavy wall heat shrink tubing 12 to 6 gauge in 5/8 to 5/32 of an inch in size. This means it shrinks from 5/8 to 5/32 of an inch, but as I said, you needn't worry about the shrunken size. Take a tube out of the package, measure it against the length of the basket hitch. We'll cover the measurement in more detail soon. Cut the tubing to length with scissors or a utility knife. Run both end loops of the hitch through the tubing. It will be very hard to do by hand, so I suggest tying a pull cord to the loops, threading it through the tubing, and then pulling the runner through. It will take some effort. A word of caution on tube length. The requisite length of tubing will be shorter than you'd expect. The tubing will not reach all the way to the cam's U-cable. If you use too long a segment, you won't be able to get the loop ends all the way through. Generally, you want it no longer than 3/4 of an inch for a hitch length of 4 to 5 inches. Your basket sling will have 2 loops at the clipping end. While the tubing girdles these 2 clipping points and keeps them close together, they can still split apart. Therefore, as I said before, you must clip both of them for the cam to save your tuchus. There are 2 ways to bind these loops together if you're so inclined. One uses electrical or vinyl tape. I found some tape of just the right color for my sling, so I used it to marry the 2 clipping loops together. The easiest way to thread the tape through the loops is to use a pin to pull the tape through. An alternative is to run some thread through the clipping loops and wrap it several times around, then tying the ends. Today we've looked at a way to tie up that basket hitch so that the loops are held together when it's attached to your cam. So now if you re-sling your cam with a pre-sewn runner, you won't run the risk of clipping a single loop on a basket hitch, and you'll be using the strongest hitch available for that type of tie-off. I prefer to use shrink wrap tubing to keep that basket hitch nice and tidy, but you can use electrical tape or you can whip it with a piece of string if you prefer. Don't be concerned about using the shrink wrap tubing because, as I said, you don't need to bust out the hairdryer to shrink it. It's plenty tight already as it is without using the hairdryer. Besides, do I look like somebody who owns a hairdryer? Have fun out there and be safe.